Hello and welcome back to Navigating Special Education. My name is Pennie Ohia. I'm your special education advocate and your podcast host. If this is your first time listening, thank you for being here. If you listened to the first episode and you've come back, thank you for staying with me. This podcast is for parents who are trying to understand how to navigate the educational system. In this episode, I want to talk about a really interesting law. It's called child fine. And before I go any further, I just want to be clear about my role. I am a special education advocate. I'm not an attorney and I don't provide legal advice. What I do is help families understand how the special education system works and what the schools are responsible for, and how you can successfully navigate the system for you and your child. Everything that I share here is meant to support understanding, and it does not replace any legal guidance. So with that in mind, let's talk about child fine. Child fine becomes relevant when a child experiences difficulties in school, and the difficulties that they're experiencing are ongoing. It could be related to learning, it could be related to behavior, it could involve communication, attention, emotional regulation. The child might even have some health issues that affect his or her learning while they're in school. When the child is having these kinds of difficulties, the school have a responsibility to respond. That means when the school suspect a child may have a disability that's interfering with their education, or when patterns or concerns raises a question of a suspected disability, the school is expected to contact the parent and begin a conversation about what's being observed in schools and what next steps may need to follow. Remember, this process does not require a diagnosis. The school is responsible for documenting these concerns and reviewing information that's related to the child's experience. The review could include things like their academic performance, behavior data that's been collected, attendance, observations that maybe other staff have noted, and just the overall performance of the child while they're in the school environment. So if all of this information exists, the school is responsible for determining whether an evaluation should be discussed. When evaluations are being considered, the school is expected to explain that process to the parent as well. An evaluation is a process, and we're going to discuss this in another podcast, but I'm bringing it up because it's relevant to today's topic. It's the very first step in special education. It's the process schools use to figure out whether whether that child has a disability and needs special education support. The evaluation looks at all of the areas where there may be concerns, things like their learning, their speech and communication. Maybe there's some physical skills or behavior, social or emotional development. The school gather all that information from different places, like through testing, classroom observations, school records, and what you as a parent might share with the school. The purpose of the evaluation is to understand where your child's strengths are, where they're struggling, and what supports they might need to be successful in school. There's one more piece I want parents to understand. When a child is not identified early, that means that child is not getting the support that they need. And this is when the school starts responding to what they see on the surface rather than understanding the underlying need. This can make the school experience harder for the child, for the parent, and very frustrating for the school. This foundation is important because once you understand what child find is, then and what the school's responsibilities are, then our next step in the process is going to make more sense. For now, the most important thing that I want you to take away from this podcast is that child find law exists, and it exists to make sure that the child's concerns are recognized and addressed, and the child can be supported. Before I wrap up, I want to let you know where you can find me if you need to come back to this information or learn more. You can visit my website at www.michiganautismacademy.com/child advocate services. That's where I share resources, information about my advocacy work, and ways to connect if you need support navigating special education. You can also find this podcast, Navigating Special Education, on the platform that you're listening on now. If this episode was helpful, you're welcome to follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the next episode, we're going to talk about requesting a meeting and how that fits into everything we discussed today. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'll talk to you next time.